Welcome to another edition of the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast, and I am, as usual, the Common Constitutionalist. And today I'm going to try to get to 3 topics. The first is a Hillary email, another document dump, or is it? Probably not. Not if our own government has anything to say about it. Second, a Trump campaign worker has been forced to resign her post for racism, non-racism, I don't even know, but whatever. We'll talk about that too. And my man Ted Cruz has come out and endorsed and will support. I don't know that he's going to campaign for him, I don't think so, but he's going to support the Donald. And much to some people's chagrin, and that's the way it goes today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcast from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
All right, this first one comes to us from the Daily Mail. I love the Daily Mail. I quote them often, and they're a good source for news around the world, and certainly honest news reporting in this country, which you don't get a whole lot of from American press. So it seems Loretta Lynch's Obama's State Department has convinced a judge to delay the release of 14,900 new Hillary Clinton emails until after Election Day. What a surprise. Judicial Watch President Thomas Fitton, I guess it's Fitton, said that this is an absolutely corrupt process the State Department has come up with. What a big shocker that is, Tom. Where's WikiLeaks when you need him? Where's Julian Assange when you need him? I'm not a big fan of that guy. I think he's probably a bag of poo. But we sure could use his help on this one. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the election. Most people are saying, certainly the Republicans are all whining about the emails. And I no doubt, I haven't read anything about it yet, but there is no doubt that the Republican committee, the election committee, whatever, is whining and crying about this, the fact that the emails aren't going to be released until after the election, and that's going to have some political effect, and it very well might. I don't know what are in these emails, but knowing Hillary and knowing what a crook she is, no doubt there's something damning in them, but we won't find out probably at this point until after the election. Because it doesn't seem like WikiLeaks is on the job. And Judicial Watch is actually the one that sued the State Department for the release of these emails. And, and that's been going on since, I think, July. They started the lawsuit, and these things are finally starting to trickle out. But the majority of them isn't going to be until after November the 8th. What a shocker. They actually were going to be released, and then a federal judge popped up, and Loretta Lynch's crooked State Department went to the crooked federal judge, Judge James Boasberg, I guess, I don't know. He ruled on Friday, just this past Friday, a couple days ago, that the emails can trickle out beginning on October the 4th, but most of them can wait. They can wait until after the election. Yeah, okay. Gee, I wonder how that conversation between Judge James Boasberg and Loretta Lynch went. Loretta Lynch said, "Hey, Judge, you're an Obama appointee from 2011, which means that you're a complete commie hack. Maybe not a complete commie, but certainly a complete hack. How did that conversation go?" "Hey, Judge, she probably didn't even stop by his office. Probably just texted him, or, well, probably not texted him because that could be traced. She probably called him on the phone or sent him some sort of secure fax or something that said, 'Hey, Judge, why don't we wait on those 14,900 emails to be released until after the election? What do you say, Judge?' And then the judge said, 'That's a jolly good idea. Why don't we do that?' And that's probably how the conversation went. Frankly, if there was even a conversation. Because if Obama appointed this guy, which he did, you know darn well that he's a complete and utter hack, and he doesn't care about the rule of law. He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about public interest, and he doesn't care about the right to know, and he certainly doesn't care about the Freedom of Information Act or even the freedom of information. None of these people in government give a flying crap about the freedom of information. They just want to keep us dumb. Well, I was going to say fat and happy, but that ain't happening. Maybe fat and unhappy. How's that? Now, the Daily Mail writes that Americans pick a new president, raising the possibilities that an October surprise might pop up in December or January. And again, enough with the October surprise. Enough with the politics. Who gives a flying crap about the politics? We all know Hillary's a crook. She knows she's a crook. Everybody knows she's a crook. She's the biggest freaking crook probably ever to run for the president. Maybe even political office. Mayor Barry from Washington, remember him, the coke snorting mayor, or that guy Ford up in Canada or something like that. These guys are complete, or freaking Anthony Weiner, whatever, he held office. These guys don't hold a candle to Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's Al Capone and every other gangster put together. It's just unbelievable. And she doesn't care, and the people protecting her sure as crap don't care, because it's all politics all the time. So from the roughly 15,000 emails that are supposed to be released through the Freedom of Information Act suit, why can't I say that? It's been determined that about 5,600 of these messages are work-related, casting doubt on Clinton's many claims that her disclosures in 2014 included all emails connected with her job. You mean to tell me she didn't tell the truth? Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Called to stop the press. Hillary Clinton didn't tell the truth. What a shocker. So the State Department is also claiming that out of the 5,600 work-related emails that haven't been released yet, and won't be released apparently, and, you know, as an aside, if she loses the election, are they still going to be released? Or are we just going to let it go? Are we just going to let it go? The rule of law means nothing. Justice means nothing. Justice for all, the little guy, the big guy, all this crap is thrown out the window. I can almost guarantee that if she doesn't win the election, all this stuff is going to go away because it's all politics. It's all getting elected or not getting elected. The October surprise, Republicans and Democrats, it has nothing to do with law and order. Trump's supposed to be, well, he's going to be the big law and order president or something like that. One of his first acts should be to indict Hillary Clinton and to release everything. Just demand that everything be released. And, you know, frankly, I don't know. I was going to say the heck with the courts, but you just can't do that because it would set a really, really bad precedent. But State Department said that out of the 5,600 work-related emails that haven't been released, about half of them are duplicates. And so that leaves about 2,800 emails that work-related that they haven't released, and they've had these things since June or July, something like that, and they just refuse to release them. It's just unbelievable, the most transparent administration in history, and Hillary just refuses to release them because she thinks she's the queen of the world and that she just doesn't have to do it. And evidently, she's right. She may be the queen of the world because that's the way. I can't believe that the Obama administration is treating her the way they're treating her. Are they that afraid that Trump is going to ruin Obama's legacy or something like that? Because we know darn well that Barack and Hillary can't stand each other. And frankly, I don't know. I don't know that Hillary has any friends to speak of other than work-related friends. So according to the ruling, the State Department is going to start to release batches of these emails on October the 7th, then another batch on October the 21st, and then November the 4th. and so on. But these are going to be roughly about 500 pages a month, and that's it. Now, these 2,800 emails, 5,600 emails, 14,900, these things are thousands of pages. The last 30,000 or something that were released were over 55,000 pages long. So you're talking thousands of pages here, and you get a paltry 500 a month with 2 months left to go, and that's all you get. So the juicy stuff is, frankly, if it ever comes out, that it's going to come out long after the election, and then it won't make any difference, because then if Clinton gets elected, all bets are off. It doesn't make any difference. Nothing's going to happen because nothing can happen. Even if the Republicans maintain the House and the Senate, you know darn well those spineless jellyfish in both the House and the Senate wouldn't have, no way in heck that they would start impeachment proceedings or whatever against Hillary Clinton. They just don't have the spine to do it. They don't have the stones to do it, and it's a shame. So basically, what you get is you get the crook, the criminal State Department run by a criminal Hillary Clinton. You get the criminals in the Justice Department run by Loretta Lynch, who's Obama's puppet. The puppet master runs the Justice Department. He just sends Loretta Lynch in. And to be honest with you, he doesn't have to send her out to do anything, because these people, they're like the Borg. They're like the great collective. They all think alike. They all act alike, speak alike, everything. Maybe not in their tone, but they all say the same thing collectively. So you don't really have to give instructions to these minions. You don't have to give instructions to the judge. We've seen it in the Supreme Court with the Sotomayor and those clones, the Obama clones, that are just stamps, yes stamps for the liberal agenda. And that's all they are. So the fix is in on these things. So unless somebody like Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, or somebody steps up to the plate and somehow gets a hold of these emails and releases them on the sly, they'll never see the light of day. One way or the other, they're never going to see the light of day. That's my opinion, at least. If Hillary gets elected, okay, you can kiss them goodbye. It won't matter. They're just going to go away. And if Trump gets elected, nobody's going to pursue Hillary, and so they'll just go away. They just want her to go away. That's it. That's all they want. They don't want her to go to prison where she belongs, indicted and convicted and perp walk in chains, which she should. But that's the way it's going to go down, and that's very, very that's unfortunate for the rule of law, politics aside. So let's take a break, shall we?
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
All right, welcome back. So that's enough politics. So let's move on to another subject by Yahoo News involving, politics. What a shock. This one's good. I like this one. Yahoo News reports that a volunteer coordinator for Donald Trump's presidential campaign in Ohio resigned on Thursday after The Guardian, the leftist Guardian, published a video interview in which she said there was no racism until President Obama came into office, and that black people who struggled to succeed since the 1960s have no one to blame but themselves. And I agree with half of that. But The Guardian and Yahoo and every other leftist on the planet will only concentrate on no racism. Oh, and the fact that the blacks haven't been oppressed as much as they claim to be oppressed, as much as the George Soros-funded Black Lives Matter group claims that they're oppressed, as much as the multi-millionaire quarterback Colin Kaepernick on Time, the cover boy of Time Mag. Can you believe that crap? He's on the cover of Time magazine. Yeah, I guess that's rhetorical, because of course we can believe that crap, because it's just that, crapola. We have descended so far down the racism rabbit hole, we may never get back again. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's just getting to be so insane. So anyway, Kathy Miller, the chair of the Republican nominees campaign in Mahoning County, Ohio, said in an interview. Okay, let's see if I can stop laughing long enough to read this. If you're black and you haven't been successful in the last 50 years, it's your own fault. Everybody got that? You've had every opportunity. It was given to you. You've had the same schools everyone else went to. You had the benefits to go to college that white kids didn't have. You had all the advantages and didn't take advantage of it. It's not our fault, certainly. All right, before we get to there's no racism nonsense, why don't we tackle this? Because everything she said here was 100% true. If you're black and you haven't been successful in the last 50 years, it's your fault. It is your own fault. There have been plenty of black Americans that have been wildly successful because they've worked hard and they've achieved success. And if you don't work hard and you're one of these Black Lives Matter Nimrods or one of the oppressed that are looking, they peek around every corner for oppression and they can't get out of their own way, they're not going to succeed. They have no chance of succeeding. If you remain in these backward, and look at the schools. Gee, who created these schools, I wonder? You people are whining and bellyaching about this Kathy Miller woman telling the truth, and who created all these run-down, decrepit inner-city schools? Who's created the slave state, for want of a better term? The Democrats. The inner-city, big-city running Democrats. That's who's created this whole problem. And she's absolutely right. They've gone to the same schools, the same crap. You don't think any white kids that have come out of these crap schools haven't been successful? Of course they have. So have black kids. And indeed, they have had benefits that weren't afforded and aren't currently afforded to white kids through affirmative action. Affirmative action, my fanny. And they've had every advantage to succeed, and they've refused to take advantage of it. And so she's right about all of this, and of course she had to apologize naturally, but she doesn't. As far as that is concerned, she's got nothing to apologize for. You don't need to apologize for the truth. Sorry. And then she added, now she's not a politician. She's running the campaign in Mahoning County, Ohio, but she's not a politician, a polished politician, so to speak. She added, I don't think there was any racism until Obama got elected. We never had problems like this. Well, obviously, that's not correct. And I don't believe that that's what she meant. I can't look into her heart any more than anyone else can. But I think that any reasonable person knows what she meant. And this is what she meant, as she expanded on the thought. Let me start over. I don't think there was any racism until Obama got elected. We never had problems like this. Now, with the people with the guns, okay, and shooting up neighborhoods and not being responsible citizens, that's a big change. And I think that's the philosophy that Obama has perpetuated on America. And she's absolutely right. Yes, of course, there's been racism. There has always been, and there always will be pockets of racism throughout the country and throughout the world. It's just the way you can't legislate it out of existence, so stop trying. There's going to be racists everywhere. There are black racists, there are white racists, there are Indian racists, there are every kind of racist. It's just the way it is, and that's just too bad. But again, any reasonable person would know that this is not what she meant, that there was absolutely zero racism before Obama. But everything else she said is absolutely true. But as I said before, she felt compelled, or somebody compelled her to apologize for her remarks. I don't know why. She should have just expanded further on them, but too bad. That's the way the country is these days, I suppose. So Ms. Miller said that my personal comments were inappropriate and I apologize. I am not a spokesperson for the campaign and was not speaking on its behalf. I have resigned as a volunteer campaign chair in Mahoning County and as an elector to the Electoral College to avoid any unnecessary distractions. And to that, Yahoo adds that her resignation comes as Trump continues his attempted outreach to African American voters in crucial swing states like Ohio. Isn't that special? So in other words, you can't speak the truth during a political campaign. Well, actually, I guess we knew that, didn't we? You can never speak the truth in a political campaign because if you do, you'll never get elected. Cruz found that out, and and so did Ms. Miller, I guess. Don't speak the truth, or you're going to be forced to resign your position and apologize for your inappropriate comments. What was inappropriate about that? Absolutely nothing. But so it is. So I feel bad for Ms. Miller, but she found out the hard way that you can't bring up race in a political campaign unless you're bringing up the fact that you're going to give them a bunch of stuff, or you feel their pain, or you're checking your white privilege, or something to that effect. Other than that, if you criticize, then you will be cast aside. So let's take a short break, shall we?
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
Okie dokie. So welcome back. And I wasn't even actually going to talk about this today because it really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But after reading a few things regarding this, I think I just had to weigh in on it. And this is the Cruz endorsement of Donald Trump. As a Cruz guy, and again, let's go back to the beginning of this stuff, being a guy that's for a guy. What an absurd notion that. Well, it actually isn't an absurd notion because most people are for a specific guy, whereas us constitutional conservatives are not for a specific guy. We are for an idea. We are for ideals. And whether one guy may encapsulate or encompass those ideals better than the next guy. And this guy this time around was Ted Cruz. That's why we were such rabid. I've never worked on a campaign in my entire life, and I worked on the Cruz campaign in New Hampshire, and that's how passionate I was, because I usually don't get this passionate about an election necessarily. I just thought that this was this important, and I'm glad I did it, and I think I'm better for it. I don't know. But I was, so I wasn't I suppose I just speak for myself. I was never a Cruz guy. I was a Constitution guy. I am a Constitution guy. And if nobody fits the bill, why is everybody bothering me and bothering us, I guess, about we have to vote for one or the other? Well, neither of them fits our bill necessarily. But for somebody like Mark Levin, who was a staunch, I can't say he was a never Trumper, but he certainly he's no Trump supporter, and he still isn't a Trump supporter. He just came out and made the decision that he is going to vote for Donald Trump. All things being equal, that's what he's going to do. He's not going to support him. He's not going to endorse him. He's simply going to vote for him. And many people, I heard, were falling off the Mark Levin bandwagon, and that's just absurd. It's the most absurd notion I've heard in quite some time. If he's welcome to his opinion, and he's welcome to his point of view, and I'm not there yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to vote for a president, I'm certainly going to vote for down ballots. That's more important, in my opinion, at this point, because it's more important to get constitutionalists in state government at this point, regardless of who wins the presidential election, than it is for federal positions. Because if we get enough states, then we can have what Levin says and what the Constitution says is the Convention of States. We can have it's not a constitutional convention, it's not a free-for-all. It's a convention of states that wishes to take the power back from the federal government and give it back to where it constitutionally belongs, in the hands of the states and the people. That's where it's supposed to be constitutionally. Now, Ted Cruz was the closest that came and I don't even know how long, and in forever. He was the closest thing to a true constitutionalist, or as close as one can get in America today. So when I saw that Levin, I was a little taken aback by Levin's coming out, not in support of Trump, but saying he was going to vote for him. But I certainly don't harbor any ill will toward Levin. I still continuing to listen to him, and I still love the guy. I have no problem if he thinks that that's what he's got to do. Terrific. Glenn Beck, on the flip side, he's an absolute never Trumper as far as I'm concerned, and I respect him for that also. Then Cruz comes out and finally endorses and supports Obama. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, there's a Freudian slip for you. And supports Trump. Okay, I don't know his reasoning. He is supposed to call in Monday morning to the Glenn Beck show and explain himself, and that should be very interesting. He does. We don't know. It's going to be between 9 and noon. That's all I know. And he's supposed to explain himself sufficiently. I don't know. I don't think anything's going to be sufficient enough for Glenn Beck. He's just that passionate about it, and that's fine. I've got no problem with that either. But Beck is really, really upset with Ted Cruz at this point. He's beside himself. And because he believes that Trump could easily, just like Clinton, could be the fall of the United States of America. Sure, they'll be in America after 4 years or 8 years of Trump or Clinton. They'll still be in America, but we may not ever get it back, and we may have no idea what it looks like 4 or 8 years from now. And I hate to say the way things look now, despite the fact that, it's Roger Ailes. It has nothing to do with Trump at this point, in my opinion, because he's saying all the right things. But it has, Trump could end up being a great president. I don't think so. His history, it doesn't lend well to it, and we all know what Hillary's going to do. So I'm going to hold my judgment about Ted Cruz and hear what he has to say. And even if he does say something completely nonsensical, I still support him. I still think he's great for the Senate. He's a good constitutional mind, and whatever the reason, that's his personal decision to make. And I trust that he made the right one. I don't know. Maybe I agree. Maybe I disagree. But who knows? But I'm certainly not going to get upset about it. And I'm certainly not going to get upset like Beck has prior to even hearing him out. So that's about all I've got for today. Have a great balance of the fall weekend. Boo for fall. And we'll talk to you next week. This is Common Constitutionalist. Thanks for listening. I'm out.
Thank you for listening to the Common Constitutionalist Weekly Podcast.